Everybody asks me about flies, so we're going to show off one of our flies that we use. For salmon fishing, I am primarily a willy bugger fisherman. So in this little video, we're going to talk about the willy buggers and show you a couple of things I do to go about fishing. As many of you know, the fishing has been quite tough over the last few weeks, but we've been able to get it done primarily because of the choice of flies. You know, as I'll be saying all through this video, you just can't fish a willy bugger wrong. Alright, everybody's asked me a lot about flies that are used for Chinook salmon. And in this case, I'm going to show off the willy buggers that we use. And I fish a lot of willy buggers. The reason for willy buggers is you can't fish them wrong. In this case, I'm showing a fly that we nicknamed the Raider bugger. It's just a black and silver willy bugger, and in a size 4 and a size 6. The size 6 is got a bead head. The 4 has a cone head. Two reasons for that. One is when I go into my boxes of surplus flies, I can tell if they're 4s or 6s just by looking at the fact that they got a bead or a cone on them. And the other thing is, generally when I go to a size 4, I want a heavier fly, so the cone's just a little heavier, so that just helps me fish it. For this, what we're going to do is, I'm just going to go ahead and get set up. I'm going to tie it on a 4, just so we can see it a little bit better. And I'm using these, like I said, this black and silver. In our group we call it the Raider bugger, just because it's the Raiders football team's colors, and that's how it got its nickname. But it's nothing fancy, just a basic willy bugger. And one of the things that I always tell everybody, make sure your tails don't get any longer than your hook shanks. I've never been a big fan of long tails on my, overly long tails on my willy buggers. The reason I think black works so well is, especially in all types of light conditions, is the fact that it'll silhouette and when it's really bright out, but even when it's dark out, it'll still be fairly obvious to the fish, and it'll also silhouette really good against the stream bottom. So a lot of our salmon flies, they got to be pretty close to the bottom. We're very often fishing is probably within 12 inches or 6 inches of the bottom, and olives, browns, unless it's really bright out, get lost in that environment. And even when it gets really bright out, the black will still silhouette really good, and obviously against that bottom, black silhouette's really good. So it's a visibility thing. Well, I think it works so good. And as for the silver, well, you know, salmon do like a little bling. They like a little flash. Kind of get that back there. I got a cone here, so I throw a couple extra wraps in there to make sure it's tied down. And we'll just palm it in here. Right now I'm using some dyed strung hackle that just worked out really good. The cost is right on it because I go through so many of these things. I'm always trying to save a penny or two per fly. Get a nice couple of trims in there, get a good collar. Then I'll just tie right tight against the cones. These cones that I'm using right now are a little hollow in the back, so there's a little bit of room in here to build that up. Kind of move the fly in there so it crams in. Take my whip finish tool, get it right behind the cone, and tuck it in there. There we go. One of my top producing salmon flies. We're down on the bottom end of the Salmon River in the Douglaston Salmon Run, and some of you folks might already be able to recognize the pool where we're fishing, even though I'm not going to name the pool. As you can watch that we are swinging flies for these salmon today, and we've actually got a few dead drifting. In this situation we're actually using a sink tip, probably about a 5/9/7 second, because we're kind of focusing on the upper part of the pool where the water's a little faster. Today we've been able to get a few fish to take on the swing. However, we've also had to resort to some dead drifting. The nice thing about that is if we can actually dead drift a little bit on a sink tip. It's not quite a true dead drift, but we can kind of get a nymphing performance from a sink tip for part of the presentation. The nice thing about the woolly bugger, it still looks good with a sloppy dead drift. And then of course we'll just go right into a swing, and that fly just still looks alive and very attractive to the fish through the swing. As I mentioned in the tying portion, very often I tie on 4s and 6s as my primary size. We can actually go from a size 4 on the top end to compensate the slow sink of the tip, and then as we get to the tail end we just switch a fly to compensate for the faster sink to the water conditions in the tail end of the pool, and we don't have to change the tip to get through the pool. The other thing is, as you're probably noticing, that this is a pretty tough fish we got on. And it's taken us quite a while, and we're having to cover a bit of water to land them. When we're nice thing about swinging, that you need a little bit more aggressive fish, and it self-sorts out the more hotter fish. Thank you folks for watching the video. Please hit the subscribe button and also hit the little bell icon. We're trying to get videos done as much as we can, but as you can imagine, it's the fall fishing campaign. We're very busy with fishing with our clients, so it's hard to often get out with the cameras and keep the videos coming. But if you hit the bell icon, you'll definitely be notified when the video's coming. Once again, thanks for watching, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button.